Speaking in front of the Palais des Sports in Ouagadougou, President Traore accused the imperialists, France, of wanting to plunder and destabilize Burkina Faso, as well as other West African countries. He said France failed in its anti-terrorism efforts, and instead of leaving the country, it has turned to destabilization efforts in Burkina Faso. Now, when President Ibrahim Traore gave this powerful speech last month, accusing France of destabilization, some people did not believe him. However, there is now proof that Traore is right. Recently, the Burkinabe military forces arrested a former French soldier and has been charged with spying for France. Interestingly, it was the French daily Le Monde news agency, which has been suspended in Burkina Faso since June 2024, that was one of the first news media to report the news. According to the newspaper, the French Army corporal, who has been working in private security and as a security consultant in the mining sector in Burkina since 2020, is suspected of spying on behalf of French intelligence and has been held incommunicado in Ouagadougou for almost 2 weeks. But how was he caught? On 12 August 2024, Damien L., a security officer working for an Australian mining company in Burkina Faso, was arrested by police in the capital. The official reason: a problem with his visa, with which he had returned to the country the day before to complete another month's rotation, as Norman has been accustomed to doing for the past 4 years. According to Le Monde, his hotel room was searched, followed by his telephones and personal computer. Investigations subsequently followed, and guess what they discovered? Investigators discovered that the former French soldier had been exchanging information on the security situation in the country. This finding was more than enough to suspect him of espionage and launch an investigation into his environment and his various contacts. Who else would a former French soldier exchange the security situation of Burkina Faso, if not his country, France? There is no doubt that there are many more like him present in Burkina Faso, as well as other countries that have kicked out French forces, observing everything going on in the country and spilling it to the authorities in France. Not surprisingly, this is not the first time that French spies have been caught in Burkina Faso. In April this year, Burkina Faso expelled 3 French diplomats from the country for subversive activities. According to the message sent by the Burkinabe Foreign Ministry to the French embassy, 3 were declared persona non grata and told to leave the country in 48 hours. The 3 diplomats include Gwenaël Habouzi, Hervé Fournier, and Guillaume Reisacher. The word subversive in the dictionary means the act of undermining the authority and power of an already established system. So, what the Burkinabe military government means is that these 3 diplomats were engaging in activities that would cause chaos and destroy the government of Burkina Faso. Although the military government did not specify what kind of activities these diplomats engaged in, we can only imagine what they have done. In other words, these 3 diplomats were high-profile spies sent on a mission by the French government to undermine the authority and cause dissent in Burkina Faso. Who knows what they have done? Maybe they have tried to spread false information about Ibrahim Traore's administration to the people of Burkina Faso, because that is one tactic they have used over and over again to cause dissent in African countries since the time of colonization. Or maybe they have tried to infiltrate the military and incite dissent, which would lead to a coup to overthrow Ibrahim Traore. Again, this is something that France has done before. The possibilities of what these 3 French diplomats are endless, but fortunately they were caught and have been sent out of the country. The actions of these French diplomats speak of desperation on the part of France and bring to mind what happened in December 2023. On December 1st, 2023, 4 French officials were arrested, charged, and imprisoned in the capital, Ouagadougou. According to the Burkinabe Military Authority, these officials were actually French secret intelligence agents. But guess what? France denied it, saying that the officials were mere IT support staff. But we shouldn't be surprised. It's what happens when these Western agents are caught doing questionable activities and the country in question is called to answer for these agents. The agents are disowned, or they come up with a silly excuse as to why they are in the country. However, the Burkinabe authorities are smarter than that and have detained these spies. Currently, these spies are now under house arrest, and investigations have been ongoing on the true nature of their activities in the country. The disclosure of these arrests has put French authorities in an awkward position, leading to attempts by France to stop the spread of the news. It was reported that France reached out to the French media house that reported this news and tried to persuade them from publishing the news. The French Foreign Ministry also tried to download the incident, but regardless of how the French government tries to downplay the incident, it doesn't change the fact that these French spies have been caught, and they are now in the custody of the Burkinabe authorities. France has since called on the immediate repatriation of its citizens to France, but the Burkinabe Authority has refused, choosing instead to keep them in their custody and conduct an investigation into their activities in the country. Now comes the million-dollar question: what have these spies been doing in Burkina Faso? What has the investigation into their activities revealed? The French spies revealed that there exists an extensive network of French agents across African countries, and their job is to provide aid to rebel groups involved in conflicts across the Sahel region. This is a bombshell. What this simply means is that France has been sending its agents to give support to rebel groups, including jihadists, who have been the major cause of insecurity and conflict in African countries. These agents are not just in Burkina Faso, they spread across the African continent. Obviously, the motive behind this is so that France can have a military presence in that country under the pretext of fighting terrorism. What a scam. Their military presence also ensures that they have access to critical minerals present in abundance in the country. The very idea that a foreign country can manipulate the security situation of the country for its political interest without regard to the effect it would have on the populace is essentially troubling. It's no wonder that despite the number of years spent by French forces in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the insecurity and conflicts persisted in each of these nations. Reports even suggest that the insecurity worsened by a significant margin after French troops settled in the country. These reports by the French spies means that foreign military forces, such as the French forces and the US forces that are invited to help fight against terrorism, might just be responsible for it. This therefore means that African leaders across the continent need to thoroughly investigate the activities of the so-called counter-terrorism efforts by Western militaries in their countries. The case of what happened recently in Mali is a good example. You know, Mali, as well as other countries in the Sahel, are currently battling with insecurity, either from Islamic jihadists or, in the case of Mali, the Tuareg armed rebels. Now, late last month, these rebels launched a heavy attack on Mali's military, which led to the death of at least 84 Russian mercenaries and 47 Malian soldiers over 3 days of fighting. While the nation was still reeling from the losses suffered, the spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence agency, Andriy Yusov, told the public broadcaster Suspiln that the Malian rebels had received all the information they needed, which allowed them to carry out their operation against the Russian war criminals. In fact, he categorically said the rebels received the necessary information they needed that allowed them to conduct a successful operation. If you watched the video we made on this topic, you would know that Ukraine was responsible for giving the necessary information to the rebels, which made their attack a success. And the reason they did it was because they wanted to humiliate the Russian mercenaries, Wagner Group, helping the Malian forces fight against insecurity. The authorities in Ukraine didn't care about the loss of Malian soldiers. For Ukraine, the elimination of a handful of Wagner mercenaries, whose loss would cause no meaningful harm to the Russian war machine, is more important to its cause than the support of entire African nations and the lives of African soldiers. In Burkina Faso, Captain Traore has been hard at work in combating the terrorism that France has created and supports. Although the media may say that insecurity has increased since French troops left, the fact is the Burkinabe military has had some resounding success in taking back territories that terrorist groups had previously taken. But the media will not publicize it because they are also in cohorts with the French government, which would use any tactic to ensure that the Traore administration is undermined. speaking only of how insecurity has increased and how many more people have been killed since French forces left the country, would create the image that it was the French military that was responsible for calming the situation, thereby creating the image that the Burkinabe military is incompetent and not equipped to fight the terrorists on their own. However, the media cannot also deny that research has shown that the insecurity situation was better off before French troops settled in Burkina Faso. Besides that, what do they expect when France is responsible for creating the insecurity in the first place? However, no matter the tactics used by France, Captain Traore's administration is standing strong, taking the necessary steps to combat terrorism without the help of France. No matter what France does, they will never be accepted back into the country because Captain Traore is a man on a mission, ready to fight to the death for the complete independence of Burkina Faso. We look forward to when insecurity will be a thing of the past for Burkina Faso and the other countries in the Sahel. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.